You scroll through social media and you see it everywhere. Enlightenment, awakening. It's presented as the ultimate life hack, a state of perpetual bliss, unshakable peace, and cosmic understanding. It's the promise that if you just think positively enough, raise your vibration, and follow the right path, all your problems will dissolve into a haze of good vibes and effortless transformation. This is the story you are sold. A clean, linear path from suffering to serenity. But after decades of guiding individuals through profound spiritual transformations, I can tell you this is a dangerous oversimplification. It's the highlight reel, not the reality. Today, we're talking about what happens when that initial light fades. We're exploring the part of the spiritual journey that most gurus and influencers never mention. This is a spiritual warning about the dark side of enlightenment, the confusing, terrifying, and profoundly challenging experiences that are not just possible, but often necessary for true transformation. If you've ever felt lost, broken, or abandoned on your spiritual path, this is for you. The first and most profound secret of the spiritual path is that before you are put back together, you are often completely taken apart. This isn't a sign that you've done something wrong. It's a sign that the process is working. This intense period of spiritual desolation is known as the dark night of the soul. Coined by the 16th century mystic Saint John of the Cross, the dark night is not clinical depression, though it can feel similar. It is a stage of profound spiritual purification. It often follows a period of illumination, an initial spiritual awakening where you feel connected, joyful, and full of light. But then that light seems to withdraw, leaving you in a state of confusion, helplessness, and a sense of being utterly abandoned by the divine presence you once felt so clearly. Symptoms of the dark night of the soul can include a deep sense of meaninglessness. The things that once brought you joy and purpose, your career, relationships, even your spiritual practice, suddenly feel empty and hollow. Life loses its conceptual meaning, leading to a terrifying existential void. Intense emotional turmoil. You may experience waves of profound sadness, anxiety, anger, and despair that seem to have no external cause. It's a feeling of being lost in a dark, unfamiliar inner landscape. Feeling being abandoned by God or the universe. The connection you once felt is gone, replaced by a deafening silence. This can lead to a crisis of faith where you doubt everything you once believed. Physical and mental exhaustion. The spiritual crisis often manifests physically. You might experience chronic fatigue, sleep disturbances, brain fog, and a general feeling of being unwell. This isn't a punishment, it's a crucible. The dark night is the process of the ego, the false, constructed sense of self, dying. It's a forced surrender of everything you thought you were so that you can discover what you truly are. It is the necessary death before a spiritual rebirth. The journey of awakening is littered with sophisticated traps for the ego. Believing you have arrived is often the first sign that you have become ensnared. These pitfalls are the true dark side, as they can lead not to genuine enlightenment, but to a more subtle and dangerous form of ignorance. Let's talk about 3 critical traps. Trap 1. Spiritual bypassing, the good vibes only delusion. Spiritual bypassing is the tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks. It's a defense mechanism that masquerades as enlightenment. What it looks like is insisting on good vibes only and labeling anger or sadness as low vibrational, rushing to premature forgiveness without processing the hurt, using meditation to numb out or avoid difficult conversations, believing that positive thinking alone can solve deep-seated trauma. The danger is when you bypass your humanity, you don't heal it, you repress it. This can lead to anxiety, emotional confusion, codependency, and a disconnect from your authentic self and others. True spirituality doesn't ignore the messy parts of being human, it integrates them. Trap 2. Spiritual narcissism, the guru complex. This is one of the most insidious traps. It occurs when the ego hijacks spiritual concepts to reinforce its own sense of specialness and superiority. What it looks like is the belief that you are more spiritually evolved or aware than others, looking down on those who don't share your beliefs, using spiritual jargon to manipulate or control people, an insatiable need for validation and admiration for your enlightenment. The danger is that spiritual narcissism creates separation, not connection. It's an ego-driven performance that lacks true empathy and compassion. It can lead to exploiting others and becoming the very thing the spiritual path is meant to dissolve, a self-important, inflated ego. This is the shadow side of becoming a guru or blindly following one. Trap 3. Spiritual emergency, the overload. Coined by psychiatrist Stanislav Grof, a spiritual emergency is what happens when the awakening process is too rapid and dramatic for the individual to handle. The influx of spiritual energy and non-ordinary states of consciousness becomes a crisis. What it looks like? This can manifest as experiences that mimic psychosis, intense visions, encounters with mythological beings, feelings of cosmic oneness that are destabilizing, or a complete breakdown of one's perceived reality. It can be triggered by intense spiritual practices, psychedelics, or trauma. The danger is that mainstream psychology often fails to distinguish between a spiritual emergency and a mental illness, leading to misdiagnosis and suppressive medication that can halt a profound transformative process. Without proper support, a spiritual emergency can be terrifying and deeply disruptive to a person's life. The dark side of enlightenment isn't something to be feared or avoided, but something to be navigated with wisdom, courage, and compassion. The goal is not to escape the darkness, but to integrate it. Here's your toolkit for navigating these profound experiences. 1. Embrace radical self-acceptance. The first step is to stop fighting the process. Accept where you are without judgment. If you are in the dark night, surrender to it. Acknowledge the pain, the confusion, the fear. As spiritual teachers explain, the dark night is the collapse of a mind-made, conceptual framework of meaning. Resisting this collapse only prolongs the suffering. Number 2, do your shadow work. The Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung taught that the shadow is the part of our unconscious mind that holds everything we repress and reject about ourselves, our fears, insecurities, and socially unacceptable desires. Shadow work is the process of bringing these hidden aspects into the light of consciousness. How to do it? First, notice your projections. The things that trigger you or that you harshly judge in others are often reflections of your own unowned shadow. Journaling. Ask yourself questions like, what parts of myself am I afraid to look at? Or, what am I ashamed of? Embrace your full humanity. True spirituality isn't about becoming perfectly good. It's about becoming whole. This means accepting and integrating your dark qualities, your anger, your assertiveness, your ambition, so that they no longer control you from the shadows. Number 3, ground yourself in the body and in the nature. When your sense of self and reality dissolves, your body and the earth are your anchors. Somatic practices. Spiritual crisis and trauma are stored in the body. Practices like somatic experiencing can help release this trapped energy and regulate your nervous system, teaching it to feel safe again. Connect with nature. Walk barefoot on the grass. Sit by the ocean. Spend time in the forest. Nature has a grounding, healing energy that can bring you back to the present moment when your mind is lost in existential crisis. Number 4, seek authentic support. You cannot navigate this journey alone, but the quality of your support is critical. Find a trauma-informed guide. Seek out therapists, coaches, or spiritual mentors who understand spiritual emergency, the dark night, and the dangers of spiritual bypassing. Build a real community. Surround yourself with people who allow you to be fully human, people you can be messy, confused, and vulnerable with without being judged or given spiritual platitudes. The popular commercialized version of spirituality sells a dangerous lie, that the goal is to escape the human condition. But true enlightenment is the opposite. It is a radical, courageous, and total embrace of the human condition in all its glory and its darkness. The dark night of the soul, the spiritual bypass, the narcissistic ego, these aren't signs you failed. They are the curriculum. They are the initiations that burn away the false self and forge an authentic, resilient, and integrated spirit. The journey isn't about arriving at a destination of perpetual light. It's about learning to hold both the light and the dark within you with love, and realizing that you are, and always have been, the sky that holds it all.